I'm recording.
And cut. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Sound Good podcast. I'm your host Michael.
And I'm Micah.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the two albums Escalator by Sam Gopal and A Farewell to Kings by Rush. Both of these albums came out quite a while ago. The Sam Gopal album being from 1969 and A Farewell to Kings coming out in 1977. But we're just going to go ahead and dive right into it, starting off with the Sam Gopal album Escalator that I suggested to Micah to listen to.
Death in the name of the dark road.
So Micah, how you doing, bud?
Doing the same. God, I'm tired. I'm always tired.
Always tired, for sure.
No, where'd you find out about this album?
Where did I find out about this album?
Because this was out of fucking left field. Just hey, you want to listen to a psychedelic rock album named after a Malaysian dude
from 1969,
fronted by fucking Lemmy Kilmister?
Right. I think that's what. I think I was listening to. I think I was listening to another podcast or something. I was listening to something, and they were talking about Lemmy Kilmister, and they mentioned that he was in a psych rock band before Motorhead, and I was like, what? So who is this? And this was like, I want to say 5-6 years ago. I found out about Sam Gopal, and they only had one album, and it was Escalator.
It's pretty funny too, because if you immediately, just because Lemmy's in it and everything, so it was like I gotta look up this album and read about it. They apparently have like 11 unreleased recorded albums.
What?
Yeah. I don't know if Lemmy was a singer for all of it, because I think they did have some lineup changes, but they straight up had like 11 albums recorded.
Yeah, I think Motorhead started in like 70 or 71.
Mm-hmm. So he probably left.
Yeah, he probably left right after Escalator. But yeah, what did you think of the album though, man?
No, we're just gonna keep on
keep on talking about Lemmy, only Lemmy.
Super weird. Apparently they put out an album in 1999.
Yeah,
also.
I heard about that too. Or I saw that too on their the wiki, but there's no link to it or anything, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's also super weird. It was recorded 9 years before it was released.
God, it's so crazy.
This band has a really weird history. Yeah, they've had over 10 past members.
Yeah, a lot.
Roger D'Elia. Oh, full circle, dude. If anybody remembers our city talk,
the Chris D'Elia comment.
Is he a descendant? Nope. Wait, a past member is Sam Gopal Mark II.
What?
Are you fucking what?
Mark II?
There's also a past member Sam Gopal Mark I. Bruh.
Are you messing with me?
No. Oh, I think that's different names of the band.
Probably. I don't know.
Sam Gopal's Dream, and then Mark I and Mark II.
Yeah, I know Sam. The group Sam Gopal was also known as Sam Gopal's Dream.
Well, that was a totally different band. The one with Lemmy was Mark I.
Really? Okay.
This is so weird,
dude. This band.
What
is
this
crazy.
band?
Right. It's a London, England based band created by a Malaysian-born. Is he a percussionist or a pianist?
Yeah,
Not
he did all the percussion.
Yeah, he did the tabla and all that stuff on the album.
Yeah, so okay, I guess I should talk about this album, Escalator, at some point.
Yeah. So going into it, I told you that Lemmy was in it, right, beforehand?
Yeah, but that was a long time ago when we scheduled the episode.
Okay.
I did not remember at all. So I don't listen to a lot of psychedelic rock either. Mm-hmm. I don't think you do. I would guess.
I love psych rock, dude.
Do you listen to a ton of it though, or
when I'm in the mood?
Yeah, because it's definitely mood music.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to a lot of King Gizzard, which we're gonna talk about also. So
the Moody Blues.
Yeah. It'd be a good episode.
Yeah. That's another one where it was just like I recommended it because I want to listen to it. But yeah, so I didn't know if I was being like an asshole at all because I listened to this and my first thought was number one because of the tablas. There's only two tracks on this entire album that has actual like rock drums on it. Everything else is tablas, which works so well with psychedelic rock.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But my first thought, especially with the tablas, was that I thought of like No Sympathy for the Devil by Rolling Stones immediately.
Yeah.
Kind of got that vibe. And then I also immediately thought of Jimi Hendrix with the guitar and just the psychedelic feel. You know, I didn't know if that was like eye rolling for people that like psychedelic, you know, but that's the vibe I got.
Hey man, it's whatever vibe.
It was the '60s anyway. It was all very
Right.
derivative of each other.
Right.
But like speaking of derivative, so do you know the cover of "You Really Got Me" by Van Halen?
Yeah, I've heard the Van Halen version of it. Yeah.
I want to say that's. Would you say unfortunately?
Nope. I'm not a big fan of Van Halen that much. I think they're a little
yeah, that's fine.
overrated, but
Oh no, that's fair. The original's by the Kinks, and it came
Yeah.
out in 1965, I want to say. And this album by Sam Gopal came out in 1969. And I don't think I remember what track it is in particular, but there is a song that just has the main verses of da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na. And it's just like, guys, you could have just cover it. Like, this is some dangerous water you're treading.
right. So yeah, with the guitars though, like, what did you think of the guitars on this album? Because that's like, it seems like the guitars and vocals are like a main focus of this album.
Yeah, the tablas kind of hide behind everything.
It's kind of just back there. It's kind of just back there just for rhythm purposes.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I mean?
Yeah, I really like I think it was also the way the guitar is that made me kind of think of kind of Hendrix-y style a little bit, but they never
Yeah, I get
shred.
that.
It's just like kind of chill soloing, I guess.
I get that. It's very what's the word? Melodic, kind of like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Personally, to me, this entire album just sounds like the whole band was tripping acid and it was like, let's make music.
But I appreciate that. It's still knowing that Lemmy's a part of it. You kind of notice that, yeah, he probably had a lot of input in making sure that the bass parts were very upfront to make sure you kind of heard them. I feel like
he actually only did vocals on this album.
Are you sure?
100%.
Huh.
Let me actually look it up real quick.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, he was guitar and vocals.
Was he guitar too?
Yeah. So he did the guitar, not the bass. That's
Okay.
crazy. It's just interesting still though that a project that Lemmy's attached to has a really good fucking bass mix with really good bass parts.
Oh, dude. Psych rock bands are so good at their stringed instruments, man. Like, you really don't listen to a lot of psych rock if you're saying that, man.
Nope.
Gotta get you into that.
You know, this was I listened to it the first time probably at like 5 a.m. so I was just exhausted. And no, I blew through the entire thing without even noticing because it was just so enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah.
Definitely in that right mindset, being exhausted super early in the morning.
Yeah, that's the mindset, sure.
Yeah, I just needed something chill, and I got it. Because I tried listening to Black Dahlia Murder after that, and I was just like, not feeling this as much.
Not a good 5 a.m.
Not a good time. But I really enjoyed that this was kind of what I would expect from a psych rock band still, but there were a lot of really cool ideas interjected here and there through some of the songs. Like, it is still really creative, you know.
Yeah. Like, is there any specific parts that stood out to you at all?
I'm being a very professional person and trying to find the track list, but off the top of my head, Yester Love was definitely one of my favorite songs.
Yes,
sure.
Love's a great song off that album, honestly.
Like, Yester Love is a super duper chill song throughout, and I don't remember if it gradually increases to anything, but my favorite part of it is that, you know, that sound that if you go to like an orchestra, that at the start when they're tuning up, you know, that kind of like the curtain raise sound that you hear from like a symphony.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the instruments, like, I don't know how to, I think it is like them tuning up or something. They use that to close a song rather than as an intro, and I don't know, I thought it was a really nice touch.
Yeah. So, did you
like
know...
different shit like that. That's great.
I guess, did you know that Season of the Witch was actually a cover?
I could see that. It kind of felt like it, especially with the background female vocals, you know?
Yeah.
That didn't really feel like that would be 100% kind of their choice, I guess.
Yeah, it's a cover of a Donovan song from 1966. Another
Nice.
Psych rock experimental band. Heavily recommend that band too. Heavily fuck with that band.
Okay. Is like those I don't know, what genre or whatever would you, or style would you describe those female vocals on Season of the Witch? Because it just makes me I'm a bad
I'm gonna
person.
be 100% honest with you.
You don't remember it?
I don't remember the song, what it sounds like, but I do remember that it is a cover.
I mean, my first thought, just because of my childhood background, was like the female singing on, like, from the Hercules movie,
Mm-hmm.
the Disney one, like the kind of like R&B, like gospel style singing, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that kind of made me think that it was kind of covery, I guess, and so I was just wondering what the original sounded like in that sense. But
Yeah, it's been a while since I listened to that track, but
oh shit, I forgot I wanted to open up this with a different thing. I just didn't have the track list open, so I forgot. No.
With what?
Oh, Michael, are you a backdoor man?
Oh my god, what?
Are you?
A what?
Are you a backdoor man?
I mean,
Answer the question, gun to your head.
I need context.
It's the last song in the Google Play ordering. But
Oh, that's a bonus track.
oh, is it? Damn.
Yeah, the
Damn.
actual album stops with Yesterlove.
Oh, okay. Maybe the ordering's fine then. Oh yeah, Horse and Backdoor Man are bonus tracks then.
Yeah. Horse and Backdoor
bad.
Man are bonus tracks. Like
Okay.
the actual album ends with Yesterlove.
Backdoor Man cracks me up. I'm not entirely sure what
That's
what the
another
song's
cover.
about. Oh, okay.
It's another cover by Willie Dixon.
I feel like it's still like a hit it. Like I don't think it's about, but I think it is like a hit it and quit it song.
I don't think it's about
I think it is still about like sneaking out the back door, but like not that back door.
not that back door.
No, not that one.
back door.
There's a lot of, it's kind of weird that there's a lot of songs about love, and I guess that kind of, it's not like whatever 60s, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, 69 was the summer of love.
shut the back door.
Oh my god.
Man.
All right, everybody, and we're done.
Podcast series over.
Yep, this is the last episode. I can no longer stand Micah.
It's gonna be all downhill from here. There's a lot of lyrics about being alone, considering how much they talk about love.
Yeah, right. Like especially
It's
with like the
pretty
song
lone,
"You're
like-
Alone Now."
Yeah, but then some other tracks, it's just there's never songs about entirely about being with somebody. Like Grass is kind of about hanging out with somebody else and like just outdoors, I guess, but it kind of eventually shifts to no longer being together,
Right.
There's
I
a
think
lot of
Grass is about weed, dude.
Oh no, I mean it's maybe, but I mean the lyrics are talking about shit like what are you thinking about when you're kissing me and stuff.
Nah, man, Grass is just a gang weed meme, dude.
You're right. How could I have been so foolish? I completely misread. I'm just,
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not as fluent with that ganger. as you.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, no,
But no, it was
like yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. It was just fun to listen to. A nice little kind of piece of, especially Lemmy history, I guess.
Yeah, it's so weird hearing.
His voice
Lemmy,
works so well with the style.
Yeah, it's just so weird hearing Lemmy in something that's not, metal.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, because that's what Motorhead was for most of their career. They were heavier rock metal stuff. All the way up until Lemmy's passing.
Yeah.
They were
They still putting out solid shit.
Yeah, they were metal, and they were still a decent project. And then you hear about Sam Gopal, and you're like, "Oh man,
Excuse me?
there's this band from 1969 that was fronted by Lemmy." It's like, I better go listen to this. It's nothing like Motorhead. It's all this very almost ambient psychedelic rock, and you're just like, oh.
I think a big part of it is that, like, the reason why his voice is lent to it. This was before his voice was kind of like destroyed.
Probably, yeah.
By drinking and partying.
Yeah.
Smoking.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked a lot for Motorhead later on.
Oh, yeah.
The gravelly voice, but the psychedelic also worked really well when he still had a pretty smooth voice, I guess.
Yeah. So did you have like a favorite track or anything off this album?
Probably Yesterlove.
Okay.
I'm
a big fan of The Dark Lord.
That's also very
The Dark Lord or The Sky is Burning is probably my favorite track. So, yeah.
Yes.
Good album?
Great album.
Great album.
Great album.
Great album.
When they turn the pages of history, when these days have passed long ago, will they read of us with sadness for the seeds that we let grow? We turned our gaze from the castles in the distance, eyes cast down on the path of least resistance.
Hey guys, welcome to a new can of this episode. And so, coming off of that riveting review of Escalator by Sam Gopal that I did, I decided to recommend A Farewell to Kings by Rush for Michael. And I don't remember what number album it is by them because I'm too lazy to put my glasses back on. But it was released in 1977 on a record label, and then a re-release was released on Mercury Records eventually, and then a 40th anniversary edition came out just last year on a record label.
God damn you, dude. Okay.
And I can't believe, honestly, like, I want to say it's like one of, like, their fifth album or something.
Yeah, it's definitely not one of their like first few.
So it is nuts that it's the 40th anniversary. It is 41 years old at this point, probably.
Right. Jesus, dude.
But I'm not really... I love Rush, but I probably listen to them like once every 2 months or something, because it's like I can't... It's not that I can't take a ton, it's just I'm never in the mood for more than like a little bit at a time.
Right.
But
They're
I love what I do. Like, what kind of Rush fan are you? I've never actually known.
They're a whole ass mood band for me. Like, they're one of those bands where it's like, if I hear them on the radio, if I ever hear them anywhere, I will definitely like listen to it. I dig the music. I love the music, but I don't actively seek it out. Like, yeah. I haven't heard this album before. I had no idea it even existed until you told me about it. I knew the song Closer to the Heart existed, and I had no idea that it was on this album. So it was nice to hear that track and also hear the little nods to Closer to the Heart within, I think, the first track, A Farewell to Kings. They mentioned it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool. Like when I first started listening to this album and I heard that, I was like, oh shit. I was like, hey.
Yeah, that was when you like kind of quickly pull up the track list, like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah. That's exactly what I did. I went, wait a minute, is Closer to the Heart on this album? And I looked and I was like, oh yeah, cool. It's like 2 songs away.
Yeah, this was one of the last Rush albums that I finally heard, like, obviously, again, like, who hasn't heard Closer to the Heart?
Right.
But I haven't, this was one of the last albums that I finally heard in its entirety from them, because I heard, like, nearly everything else, and apparently this is kind of more hailed as one of their better, like, best albums, I guess.
It's probably out of, like, the 3 Rush albums I've probably heard, I think this is up there for me. And I mean, I've heard A Farewell to Kings, 2112, and oh boy, whichever album has Tom Sawyer on it.
Oh,
I can't. I'm
Moving Pictures.
Yeah, that one.
That's just like more of a classic album. I don't know that. I think that was one of more so a breakout album rather than.
Yeah.
I think that Farewell to Kings is a much more uniformly better album.
And then that album didn't have the trees on it too, did it?
No, that's Hemispheres. Hemispheres is my absolute favorite one.
Okay, I've heard a little bit of Hemispheres then too, because I've definitely heard the trees, and I've heard I can't remember any of the songs.
It's been Rock Band 2, boy.
Yeah. It's been years since I've listened to any Rush.
Vault Edition.
But no, they're I love Rush. I love all the kind of old prog music. I'm a big fan of old prog. I love to hear where the genre kind of started.
Yeah.
So it's nice to listen to older bands like Rush and Yes and Alan Parsons Project and all that stuff, and just get a good. I got a good fill of my old 70s prog with this album. I was a big fan of it. It was nice to jam to. I always forget how good of a vocalist Geddy Lee actually is. I always forget his actual range is insane.
Yeah, especially in his earlier.
Yeah, especially in their earlier stuff. Like he hits some notes on some tracks in this album that I'm just like I'm one of those guys who likes to sing along even though I don't know the words. I can pick up on like the melody pretty well, so I like to kind of hum along or do whatever. There's some parts, and I mean, not to blow myself here, but I've got a decent vocal range, and there was some parts on it that I was just like, oh okay, Geddy. Okay, dog, I see you. I'll chill.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because I know that it's going to be some Dream Theater topic bring-ups. Oh. I mean, for both bands, between Dream Theater and Rush, like, if people do complain about the band, a lot of the time, one of the first things you'll hear is like, I'm just not really feeling the vocalist. But
yeah, I don't know. Those people are crazy.
You can't really deny the skill, though. Like, I mean, I love Geddy's voice, and it's just like, yeah, it's insane how the consistently kind of up there notes that he's just choosing to sing, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think he gets a little skewed too, just because now that they're older, they have to shift like either song choice or maybe tuning to like kind of adjust for not being able to sing as high, so people kind of forget, But like, yeah, these earlier albums, like Fly By Night's another one that that's their second album. It has some of my favorite Geddy vocals ever.
Yeah, it definitely works with the music. Like that's, and like I've said before, like I said in our Between the Buried and Me episode, I don't care what your vocals are as long as they work with the music.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they don't work with the music, that's when vocals become bad. So they work really well with the music. I dig it. And people may not like the timbre of his singing, but
yeah, again,
it works with the music. It's old prog. It's perfect in my opinion. So,
and this is really kind of, as far as this album goes, this is more kind of pristine in terms of like production and songwriting.
It's a little more. It feels a little more put together, and I think that's mostly because this is a concept album, right? Or it's got some concept aspects to it with like.
No clue.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming it is, especially with like the Cygnus songs.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, aside from knowing 2112 exists, I had no idea Rush liked to write such long songs.
That's the thing. So I was going to ask, so the way we were talking about some of the different, like in our own time, privately about differences between like between the Bury to Me approach songwriting compared to like Dream Theater, is that Between the Bury to Me like kind of, you know, eventually build to something, I guess, properly in a way, but I think Dream Theater kind of gets it from Rush, where if it's going to be technical, it's kind of just there the whole time for that song, you know?
Yeah.
There's never like kind of like a musical build to a climax, I guess.
Right, but I think...
And Rush is a lot more chorus focused compared to other prog bands.
Rush is definitely a lot more tame than Dream Theater in the terms of technicality. Mm-hmm. We're like... Not to say that Alex Lifeson can't play a sick-ass guitar, or that Neil Peart can't do some sweet drums, you know, and Geddy can, you know... Not to say they can't do all that stuff, but it's just they don't as often.
They just kind of choose not to in the songwriting.
Yeah, exactly. They choose not to, and that's good. Like a good choice on their behalf, I think. Because they do really do the style of prog that they do well. And
yeah, and I mean, like, and it's not like they ever hit a solo and they finally do that. Like, I really do mean, in terms of what they're doing with the music, even when it hits a solo, it's still kind of on the same-ish level as what everything else was, you know?
Right. And it's
it never, like, explodes to a huge technical noodle fest.
Right, and songs like Xanadu that are 11 and a half minutes long don't get boring to me. That song did not get boring. I didn't realize it was 11 minutes long the first time I was listening to it.
Yeah, and it's weird because it hits the chorus a lot.
Yeah, and it's like the first listen through I gave to this album, I was just driving down a highway. I was just driving, listening to it, and A Farewell to Kings ended, and then Xanadu started playing, and I got about like I got like 7 minutes into it or so, and I realized that I was still listening to the same song. I was like, holy shit, how long is this song, man? Like, I was like, how long have I been listening to this? Like, did I repeat it on accident? And I go and I look, and it's like 7.5 minutes, and I go, oh! I'm like, this is a nearly 12-minute long song. All right. I am down for this, Rush. I wish you all would have let me know, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, Xanadu is one of those songs that if you hear about Rush, you hear that name eventually. But yeah, I had never actually heard the song.
I really like
recently.
the... I don't know if the chorus is just Geddy saying Xanadu, but I really like that melody he picks for that too. Just the Xanadu, like it's so cool.
I think the whole chorus is the whole like taste the milk of honeydew.
Okay,
and everything building up to Xanadu. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
No, but so this album in Hemispheres is pretty different though. I think that these are the only two albums that they go like full on prog, because like I kind of mentioned, they do it on this album where they focus on choruses a lot more, but I think that they're way more tame on all their other albums.
Yeah, definitely.
They're a lot more like how Closer to the Heart is, like in terms of like song structure on everything else, but they got really proggy for this in Hemispheres.
Yeah, it feels like the rest of their music is a little more radio friendly, and then this album is kind of just, hey guys, we wanted to write a 12-minute long song, and then we wanted to do it again on the same album, so we did. And
so, yeah. I was cracking up before we started because I was looking at the vinyl track listing.
Yeah.
Side 1, Farewell to Kings,
And
Xanadu.
That's it.
That's
it. Yeah, no, it's something. It's something else. It's a good album. Like I said, I really dig the older prog style. So this was a nice treat to listen to after the Strapping Young Lad album.
Yeah,
it was definitely an album that made me not want to off myself.
Yeah.
As opposed to Strapping Young Lad.
Something that I noticed that was really cool, because I mean, obviously Neil Peart is
one of
crazy.
One of the best drummers of all time, in my opinion.
I never really noticed how much he's doing in terms of just playing a steady beat with the drums, but then I think it was maybe on Xanadu or something where he was going through and hitting like running the stick through like kind of like a wall of like chimes at like, but continuing to do like steady snare cymbal beat with the other hand. I don't know, there's just little shit like that where it's just like, dude, chill.
Yeah, right. He's a monster on that kit. I don't think I honestly I can't think of a single drummer in the prog genre who has even come close to Neil Peart's like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if innovativeness is the best word, but just his style of approach to the drums.
Being so technical, but still listenable, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, technicality mixed with listenability, yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like technicality the way you would think.
No, but
right?
then you look at it, it actually is. And that's something that is definitely masterful from him.
It just sounds like very intricate stuff, but then you see it and you're like, wait a minute.
Right.
Oh.
So, this album, honestly, like, from what I can remember of it, because you do kind of get lost in the long songs of Cygnus X1 and Xanadu. You do kind of get lost in those songs. Like I said, I had no idea I was listening to it for 7.5 minutes.
For sure.
And it's not a bad kind of lost. It's not like you get bored and so you zone out. It's just kind of you get so into it, you're just like, oh, this is a long song. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to have that be juxtaposed. That's the word I'm looking for. It's nice to have that be juxtaposed by songs like Closer to the Heart that are only, I think that song is under 3 minutes, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like 2 minutes and 50 something seconds.
Cinderella Man's 420, bro.
420, bro. It's nice to it's nice to have that little juxtaposition of the long songs with the more radio friendly single like Cinderella Man and Closer to the Heart.
No, yeah, the ordering is really smart because it is very clearly intended to be a break so that you can get ready for the next long song.
Right.
Yeah. And I think the only downside about stuff like this, especially on their super proggy stuff like either 2112 with this or Hemispheres, is that some of these shorter songs, they kind of get overlooked a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I don't remember Madrigal at all. Yeah, and you don't remember. And Cinderella Man is actually, like, I like it more than Closer to the Heart, personally.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite Rush songs ever. And I knew it was a song, but I had never actually heard it until some time this year before we scheduled the podcast.
Yeah,
like,
honestly,
and I fell in love with it. It's so good.
I don't even remember what that song sounds like. And it's not. And I say this a lot when I say I don't remember what a song sounds like, but in this case, I especially mean it because it's not that the song was bad. It's just that I got so caught up in the longer music and the other song that I actually knew, Closer to the Heart, that when I think about the album, I go back and think about the album, I forget that Cinderella Man's there.
It's pretty funny. I'm looking at the breakdown of Cygnus Book 1.
Yeah.
Because it is broken down into
it's
parts.
got movements in there, yeah.
I love that the prologue is 5 minutes and then everything else is a fraction of that.
Right, like the prologue's like 5 minutes and then the next section's like 43 seconds and you're like, okay.
Huh. No, that happens on Hemispheres as well, actually. Where there's on Hemispheres, that's a kind of I think it's only like 4 tracks or something, but the third song, I want to say, or I don't remember which one, it's the song called Complicated. It gets so, it's not that I don't like it, it's just that it's so overshadowed by Cygnus Book 2, which is like an 18-minute long song, and The Trees, which is so great, and then La Vie Strangiato, like, oh my god. It's like, that song is so overshadowed by such amazing songs, and that kind of happens here too, a little bit.
Yeah,
basically.
It's a little unfortunate, but at the same time, I can still appreciate the other, not lesser known, because I guess more people would know Cinderella Man and Closer to the Heart because they were the 2 singles, but definitely kind of unfortunate.
What, Xanadu wasn't on the radio?
What you mean radio stations didn't just specifically plot out 11.5 minutes of time for this one band?
For fucking Rush?
Are you telling me the radios didn't just take an 11-minute long no ad break? Like, oh man.
For Rush.
Yeah, for Rush.
Their success baffles me. Because it's like, you never really heard about them, but like then you go to concerts and you're like, they're filling fucking stadiums. What the fuck?
Who is that?
Rush. It's
yeah, right.
I never felt like they were uber
successful
just in popularity, but then you see them like selling out stadiums, and you're like, what?
Hey, man, old prog heads though.
Mainstream media, what? How?
But yeah, no, overall great album. I like this recommendation. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Which member of Rush do you think is a backdoor man?
Oh my god. Definitely Getty.
Yeah.
These days have passed long ago. Will they read of us with sadness? For the seeds that we let grow. We turned our gaze from the castle.
All right, everybody, that does it for this episode of the Sound Good podcast. Thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Google Music, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll be back next week with another episode.